eastbound. New adventure. Gonna see a long lost cousin, and we're gonna be touring around Saskatchewan. My family homesteaded out there early 1900s, and yeah, come along and enjoy the ride. See some sights and maybe some wildlife, some homestead plots, and maybe some older technology that my grandfather used to use. That is, if the new landowner didn't dig a big hole and bulldoze it in. It's getting on to be pretty close to 100 years since they've been there, and or at least started off their life together, my grandmother and my grandfather. They left in the early 60s though, to come to Calgary and continue on with education for their children, and just be close to the rest of the children that already left the farm. But like I said, the point is to do a tour of southern Saskatchewan and enjoy the sights and the scenes and the wildlife, and meet up with my cousin eventually at Ethan Baker Lake. So, catch up to you soon. Hopefully we got something interesting to talk about and for you to view. Well, here's some antelope. Mama and the baby. Sorry, it's kind of jiggly. It's all about wind out here. Flat prairie. Pronghorn antelope. An antelope actually shed their horns, but not entirely. Just the outer coating comes off of their bases, and then it's kind of like a hair structure that kind of forms and grows into the new horns for the year. But very uncommon for them to stay still or be close to humans on occasion, but they are very curious creatures. Sometimes they won't let you come within 300 or 500 yards, and other times just sitting still, they'll come right to you and sit right around you. Just depends on the flavor of the day. Mama's just ever so gently working her way towards us. So, yeah, they're off about 250, 300 yards, but we're heading to a homestead of my grandfather's, and we're just about there, another maybe 15-20 minutes, but we're in the heartland of Saskatchewan. So we'll catch up to you there, and I'll show you a little bit of what remains. Hopefully there's something that remains of maybe the buildings, or last time I was there, there was wagons that he literally built with his hands. He was a wagon wheel maker, and did a lot of the carpentry throughout the area, including building the churches and the pews and a number of different things like that, not to mention granaries and outbuildings and his own home. So you had to have grit to be out here, that's for sure. They tended to have to do everything themselves. I think he even participated in making the road from the farm location and the church, because everything was done as a community through the church. So that was your lifeline, and that was your social interactions, and that was probably the way that you were going to get married at the time. And you know, it is what it is for that day and age. Early 20s, early 30s, and so on. And they came up by wagon train through North Dakota and ended up here. So, okay, I'll catch up to you down the road. So, here's what's left of the Baptist church that my grandfather helped build back in the day. Still an active church, but now is the Golden Prairie Community Church as opposed to the Baptist church. But yeah, I guess the smell never goes away from some of these places. They definitely have their own aroma to them. And the history will never go away. The memories of me being a child, going to Sunday school here, and to the church picnics and so on. It's all still in my mind. And the new church has definitely taken over some of the archives that went along with that history, and the families that used to live around this area. But not much has changed, and yeah, there we go. Oh, just visiting the local cemetery, and yeah, it's kind of fallen in disrepair. So here's where we are, Golden Prairie Cemetery. And for my cousins and whoever else sees this, this is kind of nice to come back to where your family members are, but in also a sense that the land and the prairie are eventually taking over and returning it back to what it was. Obviously, the church is not keeping up the upkeep of the cemetery, and yeah, it's all caving in. It's all eventually going back to the land. As you can see, there's, you know, everything's gotten lower and settling in, as they say. And all of our ancestors, you know, their spirit has moved on. So in a sense, yes, it would be nice to keep it up, but in a sense, you know, what do you do? Anyways, I'm just out here just stopping quickly to see my uncle's gravesite, and then to continue on down the road to the homestead where my grandfather built with his own hands and raised his children and so on. So we'll catch up to you out there.
significance of this granary outbuilding was my grandfather and my uncle actually built this by hand, and it still stands today. This was back in the 50s, and nobody uses it, of course, and it's falling into disrepair, but they built it to last, and here it is, 2025. One of the last things that they actually did together on the farm. Cool. Well, I made it. Going by the Caraganas right now. You can take a look around. Can you imagine? You got a brand new wife. You got to build a home. You gotta pick rocks by hand. You gotta start breaking the land by hand. The story goes, my grandfather was the ox. His wife was on the one blade plow behind him, and he pulled that plow through the prairie because it wasn't broken when he got here. Show you what's around here. How daunting is that? Yeah, so cultivated fields now, but wow, you know, you got to have some grit and maybe some stupidness to you to say, hey, no, that's a good idea, you know, let's get out there and do that. So the new owner, this is parts of the foundation of my grandmother and grandfather's place when they actually did get to build their house. And gotta watch for rattlesnakes. But foundational rocks, some debris. There's some old foundation there. But yeah, the new owner here, he just dug a big hole and pushed a lot of it into the hole because they wanted to recapture some of the land that it was built on. So a lot of these rocks have been picked by hand, put on maybe a skid and put behind a horse or a cow, and brought to a pile so that they didn't break any equipment as they're going through the soil. And yeah, so here it is. Down yonder is still their well that they built and dug by hand. Pump still on it. Still has water in it too. And the outhouse, which I think is my mom was the last one to use that just before she passed away about 3 or 4 years ago now. But this was actually literally their front yard here. And my grandpa's old wagons. I'll get to those. There's always a joke. There's nothing colder than a Saskatchewan outhouse in the middle of winter. And everybody went outdoors to do that in their business. But, you know, it still stands. That was built in the late 40s or early 40s. And, yeah, still here. Still the same color as my grandmother actually painted it back in the day. Door doesn't open, and I'm not going to force it because, you know, outhouse is an outhouse, right? That's kind of nostalgic for me and my family. I'm kind of making this video as kind of something for posterity's sake, as well as just a legacy for my children to actually know where their genetics came from. So, another rock pile. There used to be buildings all the way across here. Chicken coop, barn. I think the barn was back there, or some of the, actually the garden was back there. And the garden was down here too in the lower end. Because water's at a premium out here. If you didn't have water, there's no live. And all your animals die. And your family is next. But what I'm seeing here, before we get to the old wagons, is, and I know it's really hard to get rid of once you plant it, so no doubt that's why it's still here, but this is horseradish. Still originally from my grandmother's yard and from her garden. And look at it all. It's all just growing up in this lower place here, all along the berm there for the dugout that the new owner had put in. Some of the original fence there. Of course, the well, where my mom used to sit on a big rock and read books and fantasize about God knows. But beyond, on these hills, there's a wildlife sanctuary where First Nations teepee rings still exist to this day. My grandfather absolutely refused to disturb them. He said they're always, that's other people's homes. So we don't touch them and we don't go near them. And he respected that. And my mom, one time when she was really quite young, sorry, I'm just battling flies here that want to eat me. She said she actually saw an elder of the tribe that used to live around here come and visit those rings, and saw my mom sitting on a rock, and they shared a gaze for quite some time, which kind of freaked my mom out a little bit, but peaceful. And he was in full headdress and ceremonial clothes as well, which, you know, it's like something right out of the Wild West for her to have happen, not just a story. There it is in person up on the hill. So anyways, my grandfather made a lot of these wagon wheels around. Of course, buying the fittings and the hubs, and a lot of the blacksmithing that's done was actually done by another relative of mine. So, you know, if you had skill, you can do stuff, and you could sell your abilities to the community. And all these timbers were probably brought in from elsewhere, because as you can see, not a lot of forest around here. But these are literally my grandfather's and probably my great-grandfather's old wagons. And I'm glad that the new owner didn't actually plow them under. Here's the box, I believe, of one of my grandfather's first Ford trucks. I believe it was that bluey green. But yeah, walking over some graves here. Yeah, that would be the box of the Ford, and this would be the skid of the some kind of machinery, maybe the box off of the wagon. Let's zoom out a little bit. So God keep Grandma and Grandpa. If it wasn't for their internal fortitude, we wouldn't exist. At least on one side of the family. Yeah, see, there's some of it in the rock pile here. Hand forged rings and everything. Someday an archaeological discovery place. Yeah, they're biting me. So just making my way over to, like, the horseradish is everywhere. I guess once you plant it, you just can't get rid of it. So this is where the family got their water from. Still has the handle on it. And the swallow built its nest in there. Hope I don't drop my camera down there, but it's actually still got water, but not that much water this year. Dry country. Slough's got water in it, but yeah. But this foundation here, this literally has my uncle and my grandfather's handprints. They molded this and made their own cement and shored up the walls of the well, and made the purchase of the pump, and yeah, so it's definitely all original, and could probably still be rectified if a person augered it out and maybe sucked it out. You could get a good amount of water depending on the year, but my grandfather was pretty good at finding water. They used to witch for water because in a sense they'd use two rods and they would walk across the land praying, and wherever the good water was, they would tend to cross the rods and stick them down, or pull down to the water source. That's where you dug. So it's just a little whirlwind tour out here, and this is the old homestead of my family's origin. Great grandparents came over from Romania and went through Ellis Island in the United States and took a wagon train all the way up to North Dakota to meet some relatives there, and got roped into helping on the farm for a couple of years, and then continued on north into Canada, and finally put down roots and stayed. So I'm probably 2, 3, 4th generation Canadian, being my great grandparents were the first generation to put their feet on the land here. 1809, something like that. So anyway, on to meet up with my cousin, and got some shots of some antelope and a white-tailed deer. I haven't seen any bucks on either side yet, but my wife is definitely enjoying her time with me, and just gonna tour down memory lane here. Hope you guys are enjoying this video, and we'll catch up to you with the next destination. And I'm gonna dig out some of that horseradish to replant in my yard. I've got some places that have some invasive species, and I think I'd rather have something edible. Cool note though about that horseradish, how my grandparents made extra money was my grandmother would harvest that horseradish and make it into a mustard and sell it to the local saloon, bar, whatever you want to call it, and at church fairs and things like that. And she would make a little extra money to put away for more supplies for baking, and occasionally a treat for the family and things like that. You got to be ingenuitive, whatever whatever that word is today. Kind of caught up in the nostalgia of being here, but yeah. Anyways, until a little later, I'll talk to you. I'll take some pictures of that horseradish too. Okay, sorry about the jiggling. I'm tired now. I learned something about digging horseradish. So the root goes down and it does a right angle corner, and then it plunges straight down into the ground. The roots can be like that big around. There's no way, unless you dig to China or some other place, Australia, that you're ever gonna get all that root. And it sends out like what is it, ginseng. It sends out little roots otherwise, you know. So you're cutting through those, they're staying in the ground, plus the main root. You'll never find the bottom for a mature one. But here's my catch for the day, and hello grandma. Here, maybe I'll turn this, it's easier. So yeah, basically square foot or two of horseradish that I dug up, and like I said, you know, they can be quite thick and go all the way down, and then oh yep, it broke off. So, but apparently these will reroot and grow and spread, and probably as you dig them, you're cutting off all those roots, and then next thing you know, instead of having one plant, you got 5 or 6 plants, and so on and so on and so on. So I'm just gonna take my wife down the road a little ways, because she's in a walker, or has a walker to get around, and there's no way she's gonna get through these caraganas or over the humps and bumps in the inside. And it's pretty much surrounded, and I refuse to drive in over freshly planted crops, as you can see. So I'm going to go out here and let her peer in as best as I can from the hill. Probably turn around, she'll get a better view. But yeah, look at this country. Just bald ass prairie. And I'm what you consider in hills. Because it ain't flat. Good on you, Grandpa. You got some kahunas on you for sure. Anyway, until a little later, still hoping to get more pictures of antelope and maybe some bucks. But we'll catch up to you in a bit. Cheers. More pronghorn. Just the girls though. And it's pretty hot, so they're not exactly going anywhere quick. That's full size. They're about maybe to their back about, what, 2.5, 3 feet. But man, can they run. And they don't typically go over fences, they usually go under. Little piece of Canadiana. Yep. There we go. That's a nice buck. Nice pronghorn. See if I can get a little closer. Sweet. Yeah, he's a good one too. Not so curly on the top, but hoping they would look up, maybe turn sideways for us. Sorry about the wind, guys. Right on. Punching down. There we go. Beauty. So, this is our modern grain elevators. I kind of like the little house milk carton looking ones. Looks really industrial this way, but yeah, modern grain elevators, go figure. Take all the fun out of things.
And the color.
And the color.
I don't wanna go out, I just wanna stay with you, be with you. Cause everyone is so loud. I just want a little bit of peace and quiet. Keep it quiet. Give me a sense of direction. Give me some time for introspection.
You know why I'm looking like this? It's because I'm in the middle of Saskatchewan right now. And Google Maps lady, whatever you want to call her, AI, I don't know, but bite me. Really, just bite me. Because if you're not actually looking at a map or actually got the big picture up, she'll keep changing her mind. You could end up in Manitoba and still have the option 5 minutes slower or 5 minutes faster. She's a harsh nursemaid and put hours onto a trip that should have taken way less time from a way different approach. But oh no, just do, go turn right here, follow this road, turn left here, and next thing you know, you could be on the middle of nowhere. Just thought I'd let you know. For survival reasons, always have a tank full of gas, lots of water, and do not follow Google Maps blindly. I got a better sense, so I haven't gone quite that far off of the derail, but still very frustrating. And oh yeah, no, it tried to take me through the wagon trail because for some reason that's a road allowance, but there ain't no road there, or it was just like literally a wagon trail. So, technology is cool and all, but if you want to survive, learn the old way, do it the old way, and just use the technology as a reference. God help those people with Ubers that have no drivers or, crap like that. Scary. Just thought I'd check in with you. Still on the road. Should have been there now or a half an hour ago, but no, I've still got an hour to go. Cheers. Update from the wandering Albertans through Saskatchewan. So, as the story goes, and Google Maps royally put it to us in a bad way, we're on the wrong side of Diefenbaker Lake. Good news is it takes a ferry to get across the lake. Otherwise, you're looking at a 2.5 hour journey through side roads to actually get around the lake. But we get a ferry ride. We didn't get a ferry ride out in BC. Apparently, we're getting a ferry ride out in Saskatchewan. How do you feel about that, honey?
Well, I'm surprised. I'm pretty excited. We'll see how it goes.
So, made contact with my cousin. Of course, we're at least an hour late than we intended on being there, but it is what it is, and the ferry runs on the hour, so, yeah. Fun and games. Who knew? there's ferries in Saskatchewan, and my experience is only southern Saskatchewan. There's kind of a middle gray area as far as my repertoire goes, but apparently, according to my cousin, there's lots of ferries in Saskatchewan. So,
Really?
yeah, anyways, and word to the wise, no facilities at the ferry terminal, so do what you gotta do or pinch it until you can. Talk to you later. So,
Take the ferry.
yes, we will. 'Cause that's the only way. But this is a cable ferry. So there's a cable actually running across the whole lake here. And it's on guide wires.
Sorry, it's a little hard to keep it steady.
Continue for 2 kilometers.
Departure. So, like I said, these are cable guided, and there's no captain per se to keep you on track, but the captain definitely regulates how fast we go across and so on. So, and they've got lifeboats, and yeah, this is our little adventure. And she moves pretty quick. It's only supposed to take 12 minutes to get across. So, catch you on the other side. And we're first. Departure, 12 minutes later. Nice chat with an old guy that used to have his dad's property on the edge of the lake here. So, big old down there.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Continue on Saskatchewan 42 West for 2 kilometers.
Yes, Google.
And so we're on the other side, and here's the scenery. Still Saskatchewan, still flat, but we gotta go down the hill, so maybe get some nice views along the way here. Just about at our destination. Beautiful lake. Nice banks. Nice hills. Lots of history. Apparently there used to be 4 ferries going across here. And the old timer that I was talking to said that his dad's first job, or his grandfather's first job, was being a ferryman when they got to Canada. So lots of history around here. Been around forever. Who knew there were so many ferries in Saskatchewan? And there's the mast of the of the ferry. He also said that you used to be able to take tours through the engine room and up into the crow's nest and all that, but because of liability and insurance reasons, you are no longer able to discover such things. Oh well, what do you do? It's the day and age that we live in. But what a long lake. Awesome. I think that wraps it up for a day.
Yeah.
Gonna visit with family. And what did you think of the tour, honey?
Oh, it was long but nice. I mean, I've never been to that part of the province, so yeah. The ferry was a nice surprise at the end.
In 200 meters, you will arrive at your destination.
I thought I got rid of that app. Later, guys.